Welcome pilots, friends and follower to XFlightDeck. By the way, I'm Etron and I am the Explain Dude. Well, today we are going back to the settings. We are making part 2 and we are going to get you ready for flying. So stay tuned and let's get started. And let's head into the sim where we left off. All right. If you have an iPad or something, you can connect that if you have external apps. Example, I use my Samsung Tab with an app that will show me and I can have something on that tab. I'm going to make a video about that later, so you can turn on that. I also have a second computer. You can manage more computers in here if you want to have external views. I use my second computer to show weather through a glass cockpit. So I have that turned on and it will send weather from X-Plane to that glass cockpit. All right, not more to say about this. There is a lot of things. It's a totally whole tutorial only on this, but we're not going that deep today. Data effort, I show you the output and how you can turn on. There is a lot of things you can turn on if you want to monitor other things. Joystick. Well, I can take my rudder pedals and I can show you. If you have, like me, I have a second copy. I have one here and I have one here. This is the one we are on now. This is my original X-Plane. This is the one I use to daily base flying. It's always the stable version. I never use the beta version. The beta version I have on my X drive. And when I've tested out a new plugin or a new add-ons, I test it out and if it's stable, I move it in to X-Plane Original and I use it. So I always have that to play and test out with. But sometimes when you create a new add-ons, you will put in these settings you had. So you maybe want to copy the plugins. You maybe want to copy your settings for your joystick and you will find that here. Also your keys and your calibration. This you can copy back if you do a second copy. Therefore you don't have to do this adjustment again. It will be right back when you start up the second copy of your X-Plane. If this is the first time, you need to calibrate it. What you do is punch calibrate and you move your toe, right toe, left toe, it turns blue. That means it's now calibrated or ready for calibrating. You can ignore this if you have this already blue, or you can move it your jaw and now it's saying next. When it's saying next, you move your legs away from it and you say next, next, and it will now save the setting for what you just did. And it's calibrated. The same you can do with your joystick, and you can also change the different views you have of your joystick, and you can also set each button up the way you want. So my white button here, I changed that to time a lot later. I'm going to show you why just in a second. The rest is like default, not much to it. So this you can do with the throttle and with everything. Everything you can set up the way you like. Okay, keyboard just the same. If you want to change the keyboard, now it says return. If I want to change that to, oh, this was busy, take this one, to T. I can punch T and every time I punch T, I contact the ATC. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back to enter or return to have that button for that. I can also manage my own profiles, save my own profile, just the way I want it. So there is a lot into this also. GPS hardware, not going to talk about that. I have not tested out. I know you need to have this for real to try it out. I don't have VR. I'm using my live cockpit. So not going into that also. Well, that is setting, guys. We've been through everything now. Sound, graphic, everything. We tuned in the graphic card. The next thing we have to do now is that we have to get started with Explain and how to get started. So the next thing we're going to do is that we're going up again and we're going to the next one. Uh, take a short. This is our aircraft. This is ATC. This is a map. And yeah, this is posing. Never use that one. On the other side here, we're also going to look at some tips and tricks just in a moment. Let's go to the flight. This is my aircraft, and I've already clicked on one of my aircraft. That means it's a favorite one, and it comes up here. I put in some free aircraft. You will find that on my web page. You will find a lot of aircraft on other pages. I told you to enjoy all these web pages. It's for free. So if I want to customize my aircraft, I click on it. If you have downloaded a new body, a new livery, and it looks like this, that's no problem. You can just click generate icon. It will then brings you into the sim and it will take a picture of your aircraft. And when that is done, it has created a beautiful picture of it. Yeah, we're back now and you see the icon is already changed and we have now the icon of it. So what more can we do? Well, we can do the adjustment of the gravity, we can do the payload weight, we can do the fuel and everything. If you're using SimBrief or Sim Toolkit Pro, you can manage to adjust, example, the passenger and whatever you want, and you will get this form, and the form you can use these settings from the form and fill out the right amount of fuel for your trip, because it's different from a long distance trip to a short distance trip. When that is done, you can say done. You can also restore. Then you have a next one here. You have the failure in here, and you can set it like I do every 39 hours. It's going to provide me with a failure. I can also set a failure that I want to set. I can stroke a key like shift, control and F, and when I press it, the failure will appear. So I can do whatever I want to. I can also fix all my systems and I can search for things up here. Yeah, I always start my engine without running. That is called a cold and dark start. There is procedure out there that will provide you what you're going to do. There is video out there what you're going to do. I'm going to make that later on. If I want to change my livery, the body I told you about, I can go the way I want. Okay, so then we are now on the next one, and that is location. I can change my location. I told you I was in Bergen. I can change this to London. If you know the code for it, like Heathrow, EGLL, you can go directly also. Bergen, and you are ENBR was that code. And you are back. You can also favorize and then customize it, and you can say favorite and all the favorites will come up here. When I'm going into the customize, I can zoom out and in of my airport and also use the arrows here. I can also tell me where to put the aircraft. I can change that with just clicking around. I can also say I want to be on the runway on this side or this side, and I also can say that I want to be in the air to try to do it in approach landing. So you can do a lot of things in here. Let's go back. Up here you go back. Okay, also directly in here you can start on the runway. The next thing we're going to look at is the weather. Here you can do a lot of things. You will have these presets, and I put it on here when we did the graphic card. And you can do it more if you want to do that, stormy or whatever. You can also customize. You can start with creating cloud layers if you want that. You can make wind layers if you want that. So if you are practicing a landing, you can take the wind and you can put that in, and you can try to land with a different weather and wind speed and things like that, turbulence, whatever you want to do. You can also delete the layer, or you can create your live real weather like I always do. I always match the real world weather. You can also have from a third part like active skies, connect that to metadata if you want that. You can also create your own metadata if you know how to do that. You can change your visibility. You can change storminess, temperature. You can do whatever you want to do. Even the waves in the water you can change. When you've done that, and direction of the wind, everything you can do. You can also say if you want your runway to be wet or anything like that. Everything you can change in here. The next thing is the time of the day. I always use this one. But if you want to see how it looks in the night or something like that, you can make it without having this on, and we can go into the sim and I can show you what I do. Okay, we are back at the sim and we have now changed the weather. It's now very cloudy and it's a little bit fog now. And the time we can also do things, but I want to do a little changing of the weather. I want to take it back, and I don't like these colors in the water, so I also want to get rid of that. So we're going to say no and say done and apply changes. Okay, looks more beautiful. Okay, now the weather is really clear and nice, and as I told you about the shadows, you will see that the shadows with the graphic card, if you have turned that on, it moves along with the time I'm just adjusting now. And I've changed one thing, as I told you in my settings on my joystick. I set up my flight control. This button here will change the time earlier or later. Now I set it to change it to later, and it will goes like this when I change it. So this is how it's going to be in the evening. This is how the sun is, and let's just go further and it will come up around here, I think. Yeah, here it comes. Now I just stepping it, and here the sun is coming. It's really cool, really nice. And the shadows is also really cool to look at. So that if you want to change the time. But as I say, I am always on the real world when I'm flying in the real world. Then you can practice day, night, when depends on what time you want to fly. Okay, so now you have gone through the location, you are ready now to fly, and there is some small things I want to also do in the sim, and that is on plugins. If you want to change something, there is opportunity with downloading this X organizer. You can turn on script example. If I want to change some script inside here, let me just take on another script. I can do that with just turning it turn green, go back to my sim, go to plugins, and I'm going to go to Lua, and I'm going to reload the script. Suddenly disappears up there, right? Then I've now just turned on the script. I can turn that off again if I don't want that, and I can do things with that script. I can also move that script around if I want to do that also. Okay, so that's how, and I want to say that the organizer, a free software, is really cool to use. I can change the weather if I want to do that. There was 2 in there, I don't know why, but I can change that. I now turn that on again, reload, and something happened to it. It got a little bit darker. Maybe you could see more into that if we customize the weather a little bit more. Yeah, I don't see much happening right there. But we can turn it off again. Let's turn it off again and see if there is a significant things happening right now. Let's reload. Yeah, it happened something up here, you see. Also the wave was changing. So all these scripts you can turn on and off to set the best view that you wish for your sim. The next thing I want to say is that you also can change things in the sim. Like I want to change my color of the water. Let's just move up a little bit so we can see the color of the water I have right now. It's a little bit green, you can see, and I want to install another color. I already prepared this. If you go to my web page and let's go to add-ons, and if you go add-ons, it's here, and you go down to number 14. Uh, Unfortunately, the agent folder that I created cannot do the original file. But I've split it up the files into my Google Drive, and you will find these files, and you can take one at a time to change the color of the water. Uh, I've already downloaded that, so it's down here, and I already pack it up with my agent folder. Let's start up agent folder. So the way I do this, let's just take this away, and I want to change the color now to blue. I drag it to the blue side of the shield. I start it, it will come with a new. Then I drag it again because I want it inside X-Plane. Now it's telling me to go inside. And I say just run on that. Now my sim has a new water. But to get the new changes, I need to go to show texture browser. And I have to say any. And I have to click on that, and I have to reload. Now it's green, you see that, and it's gonna be blue. That's all to it. You can do that with clouds. Change that if you want. You don't have to stop the X-Plane every time you use it. But one thing that is really important, if you are using like this tool, this is a 3D part tools, always have a backup of your sim. I have a copy here, so if I mess up anything with what I'm dragging into the sim, I can always go back. There are always one more opportunity. If you screwed up everything, you can start this file, X-Plane installer, and you can take everything back to basic. So that's really important. Keep that in mind. I think the blue color is much finer than the green color. So I think my sim looks really nice now. Well, folks, I think I've gone through everything and tip and tricks for you. Well, folks, that was it. Next time I'm going to take you for a flying from Bergen to Stavanger, learn you a little bit more about flying. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you like to, and take care, especially in this time. Bye bye, see you soon.